culturally, or in our parts of the society, we see a big or a chubby child as a healthy child, but that could go a long way to affect the child negatively. Akra is no someone, enye mano. Kesie has never been a good thing at any point in course of this life. Like, it has never been a healthy thing, and so it is not something you should be encouraging. Amen. Also, the health issues that could pop up. Now, this is very common among children who watch screens before they go to bed. Say, I share screens, it be a phone, no, share laptop, iPad, not time be our chance, or akoda. Sometimes, the light now, a free screen is so ebano. That light now, a free screen is so ebano. So, or more person or more da, it affects the hormones now. It was a man in crying edano. And so it could cause a lot of sleep disturbances. Na akra ya ubia usa. It was a ultimate dano. Because of screen time, the child is not able to sleep properly. And then when you are not able to sleep properly, when there's sleep deprivation as a child, it could result in a lot of health issues, like confusion, like anxiety, could lead to depression, even among children. And so it is something we have to really take note of and then work on. This next one. So, few recommendations for us as parents. These things are things we need to take note of and then try to work around. So the World Health Organization, WHO, or WHO, as most people will call it, recommends that a child between the age of 0 to 2 years shouldn't be given a screen at all, not even 1 minute in course of the day. Accra, only 2 years no, you manage a screen. Or much I say, a manage TV in course of the day. The only time Accra no able to manage a screen is when say it be a video call. Maybe I never find in China, never find person and a video call or person when they buy any man. Now we are Accra, person when they pay any man, and that you can give the child the screen. Let's communicate via the video call, via the screen at that time. That is the only time the World Health Organization suggests that we give children screens. Also, the World Health Organization says that from age 2 to age 4, Accra already in fear, copy in fear and 9. The maximum minutes and after the maximum hours you could subject the child to screen is just 1 hour. Anything over 1 hour for a child who is between the age of 2 and 4 is going a long way to affect the child negatively. And even with that, they suggest that you use educative content in extra akrana there, not just anything, but things that will go a long way to affect the child's academic performance. Amen. The second recommendation is play. Now, I realize that a lot of parents in our dispensation are not letting their children go out to play like we used to back in the day. Back in the day, there were a lot of friends who would even come to your home to play with you. But today, a lot of parents do not want their kids to play even with other kids. And then a band of members of a call problem BM on better for our tablet. Don't go out to play. And then there is a prevalence of high prevalence of autism, high prevalence of ADHD in the healthcare system now. And then a lot of people are saying that, why is it happening? Why is it so? Why is it that back then we didn't have a lot of children who were having autism, a lot of children having developmental delays than we are having now? It all boils down a lot. I wouldn't say all of them, because there are other risk factors that could lead to that. But majority of the issue is that we don't let our children play like they should be playing, or we don't let our children play more like they should be playing back in the day. So leave the child. Let the child go out. Play is the way a Caribbean develop most of the scalar and what's to be developed. So across na omani diagra. That is when akrana develop skills here be send ye diagro, send ye a drink, send ye a movie, send ye a man for a dinkita. That is when the child learns all of these things. And so don't say me banner member say or ne akrabia ebe diagra and answer member say or better in social media. Yes, you don't want to, you don't want to cause any situations or troubles out there, but you shouldn't do that to the detriment or at the expense of your children. Your children should be allowed to play. Let them go out. Let them explore their environment. Let them be themselves. Amen. Pacho obi wa question bia obeso obisa.
Amen. Me did say yes, my baby. I think throughout the week, no, what Bobby be out of her, and it's more of our children. And to let's get the questions.
First of all, no, Meda was for such education out there, mine. In fact, I have the same problem for my second born. May be my wife a computer designer. Basically IT, and in terms of computers there, and it's a no man can obey me there me hold in a sifua. They can sit more than 6 hours. To work at age, I say motana hono. Me change na my age, na have a problem pa. After that me home. Na no more bobo sunyina no. Akwani face a lot. Any I did be able to computers to be no try so very implemented. Okay, first of all, now we sabe 4 years in leader. Me tarde engineering egusuma omo. So omo hwe in the video ni wia. Na me do ma construction field. China for bi no mo ye bridges na no ma ko hwe ade na mo hwe no computer no so no. Aspect second bonus, first bonus, and me, and I'm the call factories now. Why shame feeding and so forth. But seems a second one, no dear. It be or my may dear mini honor a corner kuana. But I recited Bible story and no more be brave, 2 Jan and no very recited. He said, the report of Bremen says, school to injury. Nekasano or can language be a me ankasa mental language in there or cano. Na opese. My last born again, so imparted the same thing. No so. Enti obo ages na me tie nyina my so shock. Yes, answer me try computer all the time. Enti no, in fact, say asoli beba kwan a enka search education we and yes Sabbath afternoon. I say yeah ka eno the topic ka entire congregation nyina because me face that problem pa. Yeah, after this, I was say, me didn't call because the madam, I said, me fan call for noche, me go kumasi. Na among sheno. Problems are a chronic common, and no ma or you know. Na dear me bo home pine say, on gather the spiritual aspect. Because I can in the health form. But afterwards, now me hear stories that I'm going to be breed na, as I spiritual infect on that way. And then I may bo home pie. Nama say, me question say, now we a solution for it. I think when you says so November Bibi or high bit me at the abua Sakrana.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your question. Yes. We were why a bit to me a yabwa in Krabisa. So we advocate for early intervention. Like early intervention, yeah, idea. And then we believe that when you start seeking intervention earlier, it goes a long way to have like positive effects early on the child. So usually, I can do 2, 3 years. That is when you realize that, maybe senior crabby develop a behavior maybe completely different. Sometimes cry in drew 2, 3. And then you know that it's a pause for concern. It's something you have to look for solutions about. And so we always encourage that the slightest change development, you seek for the necessary medical or health intervention at that time. But I'm saying that because anything that involves the brain takes a lot of time. That is the truth. Anything that involves the brain, and sana, the person can become like complete or whole or behave like the neurotypical or anybody out there. And so that is why we advocate for early intervention. That's notwithstanding, no. It doesn't mean say 6 years old, no, akechi. There are a lot of interventions for that child as well. Me, as an occupational therapist, I am there to help children like that. There are behavioral therapists there as well. There are speech therapists there as well. We all come together. It's a team. We all come together. And there are neurologists there as well to help. We all come together to help children like that. Just what we do is basically, we look at what is wrong with a child or the thing the child is not able to do or the behavioral symptoms the child is exhibiting at that time. And then we come out with a plan for the child. And this is something that it has to be encouraged even in school when the child goes, at home when the child goes, when the child is coming for therapy as well. This is something that we look at encouraging. So maybe, in course of maybe some months, now we shall see who changes kakra with the child. So we have help for children like that. So all hope is not lost at all with children like that. There are solutions for them.
But my question is, problems now, in screen I did bano. A screen now, motion this problem, but there are any other factors that may cause it a problem.
Yeah. So I think thank you for the question. So I think I said screen time is a major factor. It's a major risk factor. There are other risk factors as well. Yes. It may this and the MIBC EBA. For example, the kind of maybe medications the mother would be taking whilst the mom was pregnant with the child at that time. Sometimes the kind of foods the mom will be eating at that time. Sometimes even in course of delivery, what the labor ward now you deliver a cry. Sometimes just because the child couldn't get enough oxygen to the brain, could cause some of these things to occur. And so a lot of factors could bring about this. But usually, the reason why we say the screens are a major factor is because sometimes the child could go through delivery, everything, pregnancy, everything was perfect. But because you gave the child a lot of screens as an infant, it could bring all of these things. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, okay, where you had my baby or I saw a name of Freddie Agrona, so dear group be. Yeah, punish in your environment, a Korania Bofraba Cope. Oh no, you are always almost busy at any time. And could there be a no home media grown no ocean Koran in the Abia? Just a walk around in the and in this sense, how do you approach a Koran media? Maybe I can about banana no fee. What would be the solution to that?
Okay. Thank you very much for your question. So, yes, I think I mentioned earlier that sometimes parents say, "Oh, my bread," and I say, "Me free but I also want to go and do my own thing." And so, me man the screen, no, but the man owns someone have me. I can also get a chance to do my own thing. Now we encourage that you get toys, you get educational stuff. You could even be a book, something that the child can easily relate to, and then play. You know, you as a parent, once you have brought a child here, you know, it's like the onus or responsibility is on you to try and then make time for your child in your own small way. If you want everything to go on with a child's development, we recommend or suggest that just try and then make, even if it's 30 minutes, your child will appreciate it because the child is going to school. And we believe that school is where most children spend most of their day. The child is going to school. School, the teacher should encourage that he or she is playing with a lot of kids. Or it was school. The reason, the problem is sometimes in crowd issues say, school they don't want to play with other people. But it should be encouraged in school as well. Now, if all these things, a challenge, try and then find your closest neighbor, your closest relative, somebody you can invite home. If you can't make time and then visit that relative with your child, mane omumbrefie, now at least say your 1 hour, maybe a sleepover or the weekend krana. I believe that the child will appreciate it. And so sometimes we see new parents, they say, "Oh, we are busy parents. So we are struggling when it comes to engaging the child on a personal level." If it is your relatives you can invite to come and then be with you and then play with the child for some few minutes or some few hours, we encourage that. It goes a long way to help them. And so we are not saying that they be just focus or dedicate your time to them. Just some few minutes will go a long way to help the child.
So
Thank
what
you.
I will add to it is that the Bible admonishes us to train up the child in where he should go, that when he grows, he will not depart from it. So as long as you bring a child to this world, you have to put in the responsibility to bring up the child well. And the long-term consequences of technology is bad outcome. So if that's what you want, then maybe focus on your work and leave out your child in activities.
Okay.
All right. Doctor, thank you so much. Mpese, bibisa se gadgets no, se ebia yen soye na akoda no eda ho very close to the gadgets ebia with media agro na ono akasa jai gadget no ato ni bed so not the bed no no does it have any negative effects ewa akoda because yen soye it is not in use. Does it have a negative effect on that?
Okay, thank you. Well, in terms of how that kind of situation would have an effect of the child, no, screen, it wouldn't have, let me say, so much effect on the child's brain development or the developmental makeup of the child like that. It has probably, maybe to a larger extent, that is if there's going to be an issue, it is only maybe in terms of behavior as to how the child may be handling some of them. With sending our car, or fat, maybe with chat or bra on you. Say a cost maybe he might see somebody else's phone and then also think that, oh, it is the same thing I have home. And so I can just pick it up, leave it on the floor, and then nothing would happen. And so that could be the only behavioral issue I believe could come out of it. But if you haven't turned it on, or sometimes we even do pretend play with the children. Say, your phone. I can say, oh, this is a phone. Yeah, the call. Now I said that they say, oh, when you be casawa, so you can even train the child or teach the child in some of these ways. And so, say and so in it wouldn't bring about any brain issue like that. Yes, maybe a handling of it in terms of behavioral wise, no, when the child meets such phones or gadgets elsewhere could be the issue. Yeah.
Please, any other question?
Thank you. Pacho, these days, yeah, sure, most crutches, on the screens, from 1 month, 2 months, 3 months going. Pacho, then I'll become home.
Pacho.
Crutches.
Crutch.
Months. The only child in most of these days, no, yeah, screens.
Yeah.
So what's the idea?
Yeah.
Pacho, then I'll become home.
Thank you very much for your question. It's very important. So we realize that a lot of schools, no Montessori, crèche, those things, they put screens there in the classroom for the children to, have fun with. And sometimes, they are doing that thinking, say, yeah, they can't cry any. But, sorry, it goes a long way to affect them. And so we are on a campaign train. What we are doing as therapists is we are partnering with a lot of schools out there, especially schools that are more share and class. So we are partnering with a lot of them. Sometimes we do some monthly lectures for them to be able to know the impact whatever thing they are doing with the child with the screen is having on the development of the child. And so we are on that campaign educating schools about that. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Me pacho, me pese me who say pregnant woman are spending hours on end on screens. The effect on the development of the child's brain.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, like I was saying, the senses of the child are alive, they are active, even whilst the child is in the mom's belly. As early as 2 weeks of conception, after conception, the child develops his senses. And so the child could be hearing, the child could be relating with all of them. Sometimes it could even go to the extent of language. For example, mo won krano na mo kachi kama ofie. Ba mo wa krano be so dani broni. Nti mo afide ma so chiko brofo nko a. Tama na krano ye we mo no twi na e woni trim, twi na wa master. It's on kasa na like all of a sudden switch now I want the environment in him on what is going on? What is going on? And so the child understands all of that. The child is able to perceive all of that. Into the echo singing a crano say a cocoa melon na ma the time be all born on the phone so and as ocean with you so the child is perceiving all of that even whilst in the womb of the mother. And that the child will be relating to all of that. The child understands all of that. It is oba outer. That's autism, something like that is playing. The child is able to perceive, say, this is what was going on within when I was in my mom's womb. And so, for example, if it's something those screen things now, like cocomelon, cry, it could go a long way to affect the child negatively. Yes, so the child is active, the child is alive, and then the child is able to perceive all of that. Yes.
Doc, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you for all you are doing. I really appreciate it. Now, I need you to throw more light on the fact that exposing kids to screen time affects their brain negatively. The thing is, I have a 5-month-old baby. She cries. When she cries, I take her to the TV, turn on the TV, Coco Melon. She becomes calm. She giggles. She tends to be laughing. I could see that she's happy with the TV. But now you are telling me that exposing the child to those things is having negative impact on them, whilst I think it's making the baby happy. I need you to throw more light on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So that is the issue. So, because you, the parents, no, akrane is now what man is screen now, akrana ye did it, no. A yet fair, the near J, but akrana and tiasie on tishe as it. A yet fair, colors, knitting now, or stress renan in the ageno. So that is the issue. Because akrani signing, you know, one shada who the you know, only bear 12 months, 15 months. Now, but one say, hey, me buy on to me points a crowd to a deal. Oh, here be I just over some inside, not the make up for a deal. No. That is when you realize that, hey, what I did to the child, no, this is now the effect of it. And so, effects in the one shut down when it is here. But akrani, you know, that is when you realize that, oh, now this is the effect of what I was doing with a child at that time. And that is what I was saying, say, that is what most parents do, because it gives them the liberty to also go about their own business. No, they subject their children to those screens. Thinking, say, oh, I cry any aje, but the truth is, it is not a cry on teacher, on TRC. Carlos, nekeke, and the NFP, on teacher, yeah.
Me pacho ya dawasipa anu nchire. Nanso ya me ya senkolani ni ha, na wo chire yen. Senkolani wo ha na nka wo ka because senkolani kro mu ni mu fon mu che yen mu bi no. Eti so mu wo ha na nka mu wo ka hye o masom na o mu so hu a na ka o mu so abohu kakra na o ma twe mu wo fi hu.
That's mommy.
What I want to say in summary for the three members is that we learned through the week that when a child is born, the child's brain is blank. It's a clean slate. So the exposure you give to the child is what the child becomes accustomed to. And we've learned that with child psychology, when the child begins to enjoy something, the brain switches totally and focuses on that. So that's how come your child is enjoying what is enjoying. But when the child grows, the effects are very detrimental.
Right now, no, or enjoy, I don't ever manage so soon, but what would happen is, if you don't stop it, is after some time, no, the only thing that will make your kid stop crying will be cocomelon. Adriani obedini adea. Now peso dear. Cocomelon is what would make the child eat. That's what happened to mine, right? So with time, we're able to win my daughter off that thing. So regardless, no cocomelon or not, should eat, right? But before we got to that point, obesu sa, but we couldn't allow that to happen, Until Opa Wana, she has to eat without the cocomelon. It's difficult, but it has to be done regardless.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. And this draws my attention to one experience I had with a parent just yesterday. The same issue. Their child would never eat until say waso cocomelon amano. That is the only instance I cried ebedidi. And this is a child that needed to eat to build some weight because the child was preterm. So I cried ended within some few, let me say, minutes, and also for some number of days, the child could die. And the only way they could help the child eat was that you remember video. Or show video now, that is when they can open the child's mouth to feed the child. The child is 4 and then still doesn't want to eat without having cocomelon on the TV. And so, that is when you realize that, oh, this is what is actually happening.
All right. So that is serious addiction. That is serious. Okay. My question, me ballet, me. BBC me coin. I feel I'm a banty. But let me ask you once you are an expert. I read a literature on child psychology. Was all about technology, gadgets, our screens, tablets, computers, and all of that. Now the mission woman said, the writer who was a child psychologist said, the gadgets, the screens don't really teach, they inform. Now, it's like even studying. If you do a lot of the books proper, the manual, the hard copies, that teaches, that develops. Ti oma example be say omo kan kola bi go dem for a period. Now omo adwin nyina, omo scanning na, omo adwin level nyina, the capacity was the same. They picked them with the same kind of mental capacity. Faculties where the IQ, everything was okay, was normal. And omo kan share them, sir. Others, half of the participants, were exposed to only screens, computers, tablets, those things going on for a long period of time. And others were given just the manual and the hard copies. And when they scan back the level of their brain, the capacity, the faculties, who say those with the, but those who they thought, say, oh, yeah, we are now in an IT world, everything should be IT, screen, gadgets. But today, that is what we have now. First world, first life, digitalization, IT. How do we connect this dot? Or how do we go about it? Because we can't do without the gadgets today. And even if this was the funding out from that research, then where are we? And I think going back to the hard always will also be an issue now. E-library, you don't need to go walk in there and pick. The screen will give you all the info. How do you address this in for us as an expert?
Yeah, thank you. I think that goes back to something we have discussed or I've answered.
Please, we'll take last two questions. Then we move to the next.
That once you are a parent, the responsibility of the child's well-being is on you. For sure, we are in a digital age, we are in a technological age. Your child will be exposed to all of these things. But the onus is on you as a parent to try and then shield the child away from these things. And then taking into consideration the age barrier, like I mentioned earlier, when the child is probably, if the child is within 2 to 4, just a little of it, but not exceeding an hour. It's okay for the child. That is if as a parent you can't do without it. Although it's not something we encourage that you do. So that is the extreme you can go. But as a parent, you just have to try as much as possible to give your child more human interaction than technology. Thank you.
Okay, Doc, yeah, that's it. Maybe question, no, yeah, Abra, Obana Faithful. A drone no, you mentioned that there are some negative effects to adverse effects to Akrano, ni behavior. Some medications, right? Okay. If that is the case, I would want to know the extent of that adverse effect on the child's behavior. And again, would you rather recommend herbal drugs and as herbal medicines to and as an alternative to these orthodox medicines?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So usually during that period the mom is pregnant with a child, the child is usually in the hands of the pediatrician. That is the doctor who specializes in child care. Yes, and then the doctor is expected to oversee all of these issues when it comes to the drug the mom is taking, the kind of foods the mom is eating at that time. That is why they schedule antenatal appointments. And so that is in the hands of the pediatrician. But for sure, the drugs that the mom is taking, that is why they always would have to be prescribed by these pediatricians, making sure that the dosage is right and then it is not having any adverse effects of the child. And so even in the pharmacological world, we always entreat parents, or especially lactating or pregnant women, that if you are pregnant, you can't take this particular kind of drug. Or even if you are pregnant and you can take this drug, you don't exceed this particular dosage. And so it would always have to come with the prescription from the pediatrician, and the pediatrician has to oversee this. As for herbal medicine, personally, at a personal level, it is not something I subscribe to. A lot of herbal drugs, I believe, place so much demand on our kidneys that the kidneys has to go through a lot of processes to make sure that the system of the mom is clean and that the drug is not affecting the baby as well. Bear in mind that whatever thing the mom is taking when the mom is pregnant, it goes to the baby as well. So the child is eating because you the mom, you are eating. The child is taking drugs because you the mom, you are taking certain kind of drugs. And so if you subscribe to herbal drugs, their concentrations may be high. You know, these herbal drugs, some of them, their concentrations may be high and all of that. And so the demands they may play on the kidney and all of that is something I don't subscribe to. So I believe that you have to just pay attention to your antenatal visits and then let the pediatrician handle situations like these.
Please, we have another topic, so I'm taking the last questions.
Yes.
Very sorry.
Yes.
Last question.
Yes.
All right. With us, opening. Na, I'm saying, kakra meka akahon said the odia mai. Ya na problem no nyina say do ni herbal enko herbal no the difficulty here, the dosage. Oh, the mark kabomo no unfortunately offer to say allopathic medicines na. Ya fa nema be more research nema we ye per quantity of this 20 milligram of this we na kabomo na be ma wa ye we nti wo be ha. Most of the time, that adverse effect in your corano so be bring free allopathic medications, you know. And the herbal we know you need dosage forms near the other. About how bought a couple back home. And then man, if you cry now we hear half of pay so pay herbal no go through Mampo Krapim de Nomayeno. They have a lot of these things. I go through a lot of research. Ye far constituency na and then my cabo monoa. Milligram way, the cabo way, almost the more a better than they are not a tarton or quahono, and one here no way nya arm wakrano. Nakakra, me person me deka hone here, the fact is say. Maybe I do this time, no. Yeah, matiti mono, if you say we must be very intentional about it. Say, yes, William, the way we are saying, Dino. One here, mano. There's a unya but unya time mom. Sometimes, and especially in crime. 4 a.m. no be the batran came walk. Sabi ako jano baby na. Just say, and some good wow. Oba wo huno ade chia. Just say ono or a very difficult. Make high situation be mama be by no any no ha. You see or two coin. No yeah, head teacher or I think a shaman. Or say akora baako. Akora no ha jini. Omo ya omunya maame no papa no kra de mema no de ya buebue omo ye mfa ho ba maame no afi maame ni ba ya ye ka akora no ho asem kire e wo school ho no tibi ba ho no o ka kire o mani wa nya won kwase asem na because nya de o ye nje meja me kwan so ko do you understand enti se wa akora na nya ya ne kwan so no nyai o be kwan so o be nya cash ba be ba na akora no be say enti e wose bibia ye bia ye nya mmere ma ye ma no na se de wo kan no ye nya sa human interaction na ye sa physical interaction with our children sa we no enema bebre o ha omusua kora because we have that kind of interaction with them no ye boati mete so anya sa se de wo kan kokomilo akora ni ye tab kokomilo be na akofa o papa aduane ko de ma no obebo osum kora boy abeja abegyina kokomilo a che se nem kwara wa ma no. But unfortunately, maybe o meduru no one to boss ya. Any no problem no society. So let's all be intentional about how to bring up our children in the best way. And yes, our influences na omunya abonte no. Ehu pa erade ehu ye mo medase.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. I'm seeing some hands, but I will not be taking them. I'm very sorry. This topic, treaty throughout the week. It was a week, health emphasis week. All local churches have the paperway for us to go through. So he came in, said, Obama a summary, but it's dragging. But we have another topic to deal with. So sorry, I won't be taking any more questions. Thank you very much, Solomon, for taking us through. If you want further knowledge, let's link up with our health leaders in our various local churches, and they will help us with it. God bless you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the other topic we are going to go through is very unusual, especially in the SDA sector. We are always, Christian for where they intimate see where you move, but a lot of things are happening in our homes is so wrong. Okay, let me not say it's so wrong. Elder will take us through. We are going to look at the role of the church in dealing with hookups. But I know you know what it is. Open marriages, sex toys, sex and swingers clubs. Elder Abednego say will take us through. So let us all listen, be open-minded about it, and let's come up with ways that can help us. Amen.
Amen. Pacho, yes, your brother, and say, amen, kasi emano. Yes, Yankupon in Shani Bebre. Ebem say, less na idea my a more dimpa ye. In fact, Bayes 10 years here, I mean, public speeches, any presentation. I mean, share topic be a difficult to say that. I mean, name the entire Caroline, this our topic, you me say me betche. But Nyaminti, me assure say, ye nebeti me, I have a very useful discussion. Ama ye Nyamunti as here. A biom so wa share topic now to say a age sensitive kakra. A age sensitive kakra. Intimate say. Youth no leaders nebe buana ye nnuano menketo no se ebe mo mako or mo class ho no mo na at least ye mpanifo ne young adults ne there we can stay in whilst we have this discussion mesre pan ye na ebiom so abofo na yi masotre se enim ha se no megya man me nim se betimi aba enim kakra. In fact, I wish person ka make kasa without the mic so that I can come down and then have the discussion. When the episode discussion, episode be contributed to this topic. Send a be useful. Ama yenina. Yo, enunti abra ye ni sa no na ye stress ye be fire Bible no. Na ye be ako Ephesians chapter 5 verse 3. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 3. Na obisu ebie Romans chapter 1. Verses 26 to 29. Romans chapter 1, verse 26 to 29. Ebiom me kai yense. Addition yesu discussion I having is here no topic no what to din said the role of the church in dealing with hookups, open marriages, sex toys, sex and swingers club. The role of the church in dealing with hookups, open marriages, sex toys, sex and swingers club. This is na yenyu ban ekan no. Sa dia bodin wa ha nyina me sure say nanka 10-20 years ago a kameka say we die enye ade a say discussing wo Ghana ha say. Nanso yenyina ase na enim no we are very good at importing things from Europe and America. Na me gidi ye se enye me wanwa se sa dia ebobodin wo even though it is known in Europe and US no enye me wanwa se ebi wo Ghana ha say. Enye me wanwa. Enunti asafo no ehia se sa enkomo we ye bedi no e wa asafo yi mu. Na fe asafo no so yehu ye role a ebetimi e play in Kevin this na say ebehwe say ebetimi esi anokora sa emba ana say kobampo say ye mu bi are involved in it, akwankyerɛ a asafo no betumi de ama yɛn na yɛtumi efiri mu efi a ɛde yɛdie ɛbɛba asafo nim. Pacho obi etumi ebie text na obetumi akan ama yɛn. Any one of them. Text nam de mine Ephesians chapter 5 verse 3. Ade yɛmfa yɛ Bible na mba na. Ɛna Romans chapter 1 verse 26 to 29. Verse 3. Okay. Amen. After one soon be Romans chapter 1 verse 26 to 29. And ka emaya hu ye ha na afi timi akoye nim. Yes.